Welcome to day 16 of this 28-day body transformation audio seminar. Today we're going to talk about the basics of cardiovascular training, and I'm going to suggest a few ideas that may seem a little counterintuitive to what you've heard before, but hear me out, listen to my reasoning, and I think you might find that it'll save you a lot of time in the gym. The primary thing I'm going to suggest today is that there is no such thing as cardio, only low-intensity resistance training. When you think about cardio, you really need to be clear in the first place, why are you doing it? And there's two primary reasons that I can see. For most people that I deal with, the primary reason they're performing cardio is to facilitate the loss of body fat. They think that being more active, they're going to burn more calories, and because they're burning more calories, you're going to lose more fat. And there's some truth in that. And the second reason is just going to be for some kind of athletic or health benefit. There's definitely a benefit to doing some cardiovascular work, but we'll cover that a little bit later. Different types of activity use different metabolic energy pathways. I had mentioned previously that powerlifters rely predominantly on the ATP phosphocreatine system. Their activity is very intense. One single max repetition push in a competition may only last approximately 10, I'm just going to say 15 seconds tops. And that's about it. So the ATP phosphocreatine system runs for about that length of time. For the average gym goer doing resistance training, after the ATP phosphocreatine system has been exhausted, anaerobic glycolysis is the primary energy system that gets used, and that can last anywhere from about that 15-second trade-off after the set is began to right around the 2-minute mark. After glycolysis, or towards the end of glycolysis, the Krebs cycle takes over, and then from there the electron transport chain. But the idea is, again, different types of activity, low intensity or high intensity, and then duration can determine which energy system you're primarily using. They all work in the body all the time, but you will receive the majority of your ATP from different metabolic pathways depending on the type and duration of activity you're performing. But for the people that I deal with, and for the people that are listening to this that are doing cardio to accelerate fat loss, they have some pounds they want to lose, they want to look better. I've already touched on this on the diet tape about calories, but we don't burn a lot of calories through activity. I mentioned that 3 Oreos is approximately 180 calories, and for most individuals, they would have to run basically 3 miles to burn off that caloric equivalency. So what's easier? Is it just easier to just eat a little bit less, and or is it easier to spend 45 to 60 minutes in the gym? I contend that it is significantly easier to eat a little bit less than it is to try and make up that difference on the treadmill or on the elliptical or on the recumbent bike or the rower or the stair climber at the gym. And the thing about those machines is they're only approximations. And some of those machines, especially the ones that'll ask for your height, your weight, your age, those are to some degree tailored a little bit better. They're a little bit more precise, but some of them include your BMR, the calories that you're burning at that moment just to sustain life, not directly coming from that activity. Some of them include those calories into your total. And think about it, in some degree it makes sense. If you market exercise machines, do you want to be able to brag that your machine burns more calories or fewer calories in a set time duration? You are likely to sell more machines, and you would have to disclose that information. But if you have a tread climber that burns 1,000 calories a workout versus one that burns 500 calories a workout, the machine that burns 1,000 calories is going to sell better. So again, with most clients, if your goal is primarily fat loss, you can do cardio. It's absolute physiological fact that if you need to burn fat, you need to burn more calories every single day or over a fixed period of time than you consume. And if you're doing that, you're going to lose fat. But I would suggest that cardiovascular training for the purposes of losing fat is a very ineffective, very inefficient method. Think about it. If we burned as many calories as our fitness trackers suggest, if we walk our 10,000 steps a day, or if we hop on that elliptical or whatever piece of exercise equipment, we go to the gym, and then we plug the information into our fitness tracker, and it says, congratulations, you burned 800 or 1,000 calories. If people burned that many calories through activity, we probably wouldn't have survived as a species. Our body has become very efficient over time at metabolizing energy in a way that we don't starve. It takes time and consistency in your diet to lose fat. The problem is people tend to look at those machines and they say, wow, I burned 800 or 1,000 calories, and they go out and head to Starbucks and get a sugary, fat-loaded drink and think, well, no, I can have this drink because I just burned all those calories at the gym. And you can see how that works for most people. So what about if you're performing cardio for the conditioning, for the health benefits, for your cardiovascular system? Any activity performed with sufficient intensity will yield some degree of cardiovascular benefit. We've all had those sets in high school. We're performing, let's just say, bicep curls. And you reach the point when you can no longer do another repetition, and your buddy comes along and he gives you just a little bit of help, and then he makes you do another one, and he makes you do another rep, and he makes you do another rep, and you're sweating and you're breathing heavy and you're totally exhausted, and eventually you set the weight down. You're sweating up a storm, you're breathing heavy. That's cardio. That's the cardio that you're performing. Now, you're doing it primarily through anaerobic pathways, but the function of the heart and the function of the cardiovascular system is to fuel that metabolic energy pathway system depending on the needs of the activity that you're performing. Your body is trying to provide blood and nutrients to get fresh precursors to the muscles so that they can perform these particular activities to fuel the activity, and it's trying to clear the metabolic waste out. That's the purpose of your cardiovascular system. The larger the demand you place on your body, the greater the cardiovascular benefit. And you'll have to Google this, but there is a great study, and it was, I think it was on BBC. One of their reporters did 20-second sprints, and that she would sprint as hard as she possibly could for 20 seconds, really raising the intensity on her legs and on her cardiovascular system. Sprint for 20 seconds, rest a couple of minutes until your heart rate comes down, and then sprint 20 seconds. And she did that 4 or 5 times, and that was it. And over the course of the couple weeks or months that she performed this, she received the same cardiovascular benefit as people that ran marathons or people that did long-distance cycling. You do not have to invest a large amount of time for cardiovascular benefit. And you are not burning as many calories as you think you are by doing endless amounts of activity. If your resistance training is very, very intense, you are getting your cardiovascular training in. There will be some cardiovascular benefit. If you want to do additional cardio on top of it, because it may not be the most effective and efficient means of burning calories, but you do burn some calories, yes, you absolutely can do cardio. And you can do whatever type you want. If you want the short, high-intensity stuff, go ahead. If you want the longer duration stuff while you read a book or while you watch TV, that's fine too. My place here is not to tell you only this way is the best way to do cardio and don't do anything else. That's not my place. My job is to just say, pick something you like. If it fits in your time schedule, great. If not, eat a little bit less. And what I think you'll find is you guys can build an incredible physique without doing dedicated cardio. If fat loss becomes stubborn as you get very lean, you might want to throw in a little bit here and there, but again, it's not the most effective and efficient means. So that just about wraps up today. Your assignment, email me, fitcoachjerome@gmail.com. Let me know what type of cardio do you do? Do you do any cardio? How often do you do it? And why do you like doing it? Thanks for listening, men. I will talk to you soon.